Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV as we inch closer to the top of the hour of 8. Time now for Kickstarter and look at the progress of political party primaries that have been conducted across the country as the stakeholders and the key players prepare for the general election in 2026. The National Resistance Movement has been very elaborate at it, as well as the National Unity Platform, but also other players, including FDC, PFF, and the new kid on the block, the Democratic Front, led by former leader of opposition, Honorable Matthias Mpuga. There's a lot at stake, including the cost of party candidature or flags that we are seeing across many parties. For president, many have staked it at a staggering 20 million Uganda shillings. All actors within the political parties say this should be nothing, as it indicates that the party can actually fund itself through the process. However, concerns are rife that some of the positions are highly priced and that the cards that are required for the party flag may be too expensive for some individuals. I'm joined by Enoch Barata, the head of legal, or director to be very specific, at the National Resistance Movement. Many thanks for joining us, Council.
Thank you very much, and nice to be here again at NTV in the morning.
Great, good to have you. Quickly bring us up to speed with how the primaries and the nominations are going within the National Resistance Movement. Anything that we should brace ourselves for? Legal battles?
Yes.
Well, anything like that?
I think right now at the NRM, we're a rolling stone and we are not going to gather anymore, so to speak.
Interesting there.
I think we have picked up our pace and we are unbeatable at this level. Of course, while we are talking about the primaries, we started off with holding internal structure elections where we elected our internal leaders, and we have so far done that up to the district level, starting at the village level with a universal adulthood suffrage vote. So we have now so far reached the district level, and the remaining elections in the party structures at the national level, and those we are going to have as well. At the same time, we are completing our nomination exercise today, which is a public exercise. So currently going on at plot 13 Chadon Road, where we are nominating candidates for various positions, including Member of Parliament, LC5 chairperson. We are nominating contestants for mayoral positions. We started receiving expressions of interest for SEC members on 26th, and you saw President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on 28th receiving his forms, or picking up his forms. That one will also end today, and then we will start the nominations for the SEC members and others also from tomorrow up to 4th.
Oh, great.
So we are moving on quite well. We are on track. We expect to have a better turnout in terms of the vote and in terms of the win than we did in 2021.
Great. I'm glad you talk about the very aspect that is ending today, the nomination process. And what I can describe as the climax of this was arguably on Saturday, where we saw the president pick up nomination papers, and the euphoria and the fanfare that it all came with. That's a discussion for another day. But the president was very unequivocal in talking about what he intends to do, especially for this 7th term, elective term as president. He spoke about the need to finally stamp out corruption in the country, and that he was taking the people and the Bazokulu into a place where corruption will be non-existent. I know these are huge political campaign words. The president has struggled to fight corruption all his elective terms in office, and to set the eye on this one as the one where that nail is going to be hit into this corruption coffin is, to most observers, a little bit wishful thinking. Do you see the president actually achieving that?
Absolutely. I see the president achieving that, as he has done before, as he has done even on other points of engagement that he has committed to. The mistake that we tend to make is to assume that when somebody says, I will eliminate corruption or I will give you security, that it is a one-off. These things are not one-offs. And that's why, for example, we keep telling you about security. Because it is not a one-off. You do not achieve security once and then go to sleep. You have to maintain it, you have to sustain it. It is the same thing with corruption. It is an enduring fight. However, I think why the focus is on it now is to have greater impact. The idea is to have greater impact in fighting corruption, to reduce it to even lower levels than it has been reduced to over time, to create more accountability, to create more transparency, to refine the systems better so that there is less and less corruption as we move ahead, and so that there is a more efficient use of resources. So it is achievable, and I think that he has committed that that will be one of his main areas. I think that is one of the things, that is the one thing he singled out most, though he did say and he did mention that other things will be mentioned later at an appropriate time. But that one he singled out from the get-go. And I think it is doable. The processes have been ongoing. I think we often do not see these things because we focus perhaps on what we call the bigger sagas, as the media tends to call them. But there has been a great and significant fight against corruption, and I think that will be enhanced.
I think when you say we tend to focus on the bigger sagas, maybe that one is also hitting it too much and putting us in a spot of bother, which ideally we shouldn't and we can't take. But these are statements, for example, and declarations or commitments to fight corruption that have been made consistently. And one would say if a scorecard were to be rolled out, when you say it's an enduring fight, when we look at the scorecard, the various scorecards per term in fighting corruption, we really wouldn't be in a position where we have to look at it as something that ought to be fought right about now. We would be saying we are now going into the very last lane, or the anchors stage in the relay of eliminating corruption. But here we are talking about tackling it as though we are simply beginning.
I don't agree. We're not tackling it as if we're simply beginning. You must realize, of course, that many things have grown in Uganda, and as you grow the economy, as you grow the society, several other things grow, and that's why you must continuously fight them. Crime grows, so you must continuously fight it. Corruption is part of crime, and you must continuously fight it. So it is not as if we are beginning. We are saying this problem remains and continues to be more apparent. And so we need to attend to it. So it is not really saying that we are just going to start fighting corruption today, or we haven't been fighting it. We are going to fight it as we have continued. I think the idea here is to double the effort, although I think I saw your monitor reported that we are going to double down the effort, but we are going to double the effort,
okay,
or even triple the effort in fighting corruption. I think that was the focus and the highlight of the president on Saturday.
We see the president there on the pictures that are running as he gave his speech following his picking of nomination papers, expression of interest to run for a 7th elective term in office. That would effectively make them 8 if the one that he governed from 1986 to 1995 is anything to go by. But ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome on board Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, the Deputy Spokesperson of the National Unity Platform. You're welcome to Morning at NTV.
Very humble to be here.
Great.
Good morning.
Morning.
You found me engaging Council Enoch Barata on the NRM primaries, the nomination exercise, and the mantra that President Yoweri Museveni has often driven as an anchor for his election campaigns, fighting corruption, how effective this is going to be. You will submit on the President's remarks a little bit later, but allow me get you to brief us very quickly on how far that particular process is going within the National Unity Platform, nominations, primaries, and the reorganization of the party ahead of the 2026 general election.
Well, our Electoral Management Committee issued guidelines that are being followed. We had, first of all, the party structure. That is the election of the National Executive Committee. And we had a delegates conference. So with the issues of management of the party, that was sorted. And then, of course, after the empowerment of the National Executive Committee, the notices of processes of nomination, expression of interest in various positions from councillor to president were issued. And last week we did end with the presidential expression of interest. It was between the 18th and the 25th. The Electoral Management Committee also had given up to the 23rd, but because of numbers of our people and a lapse in the steadfastness by the Uganda National Examinations Board on certification of academic qualifications, and this has not only been to NUP but across board. So we thought it wise that first of all, the amounts that are involved are exorbitant. They need over 600,000. So we thought the Electoral Management Committee requested the Secretariat that be added more time to receive members with expression on where they want to vie, given that if they have that as a reason of delay. But generally we have up to the 24th to 24th of July to receive all expressions of interest. And then, of course, the processes of determination of who will take the flag will be declared then by the Electoral Management Committee. And the processes are, we have two processes that lead up to a candidate. One, we have 40% that comes out of the vetting process. A candidate of the National Unity Platform is subjected to a vetting process by the Electoral Management Committee on different aspects. It's like an interview, and that carries 40%.
Wow.
Yeah, that carries 40%. It used to carry 50%, but after the Nalkola Kawempe election, the National Executive Committee upgraded that with 40% from the vetting committee and 60% from the population of where you are vying to stand. And the system that we use to get the 60% is that we send covert teams to those places, to the constituencies, and those covert teams bring back the feedback of what is the true reflection of the people. If you want to know the performance, who can be a leader in the members of NTV, you will do you can do a quiet vote without the person knowing, and then you will know that really these colleagues of his believe in his leadership. So we always go out to the constituency, we look out in the border stages, in the markets. We quite take vivid teams that get us the exact reflection of what the constituency is reading. And then thereafter, the flag will be awarded.
Allow me to stay right there, and this is something that Enoch Barata will also submit on, especially with regard to the modalities within the national resistance movement. You speak of 40% as the vetting process that is well known, elaborate, and it's a reserve of a select committee of NUP leaders.
The electoral management committee.
The one that conducts the interview. And then you speak of covert teams going out. This is like an extension of this committee.
Yeah, it's an extension of that committee.
So ideally, the 60% leverage that you're giving the people is a smokescreen. It's not actually people deciding. It is you saying, go and find out who ticks this box, and this box. Isn't that strangulation of democracy?
Well, I don't know what you mean by strangulation of democracy. First of all, Chris, we are not operating in very, very normal circumstances. We do not have the latitude to go out there and do whatever we would have wanted to do, even by their own, by timelines. I can tell you that I saw the candidate of the NRM going to be nominated, and other candidates. They are allowed to do processions. You saw what was in town. Their teams are even allowed to rob from people, beat up people in gangs. For us, we don't have that latitude as NUP. I can tell you that the day our leader was coming to return his form of expression, the whole of our offices, with the radius of 50 meters, was all surrounded and barricaded by the military, the Special Forces Command. It was like a war zone. Many of our people are arrested and abducted outside our premises. So it is not as easy to operate as you may think. And I think that is why the framers of this constitution thought it wise. Otherwise, we would have loved to go in an open primary and then get our candidate. But you know that even where we have participated in the national calendar activities like the special interest groups, you saw what happened, the anarchy, the mayhem that was orchestrated on our people, not to say. So even when you say it's an extension of the electoral management committee, the committee or the institution in charge of the affairs of elections in the National Unity Platform mandated is the Executive Management Committee, the Election Management Committee. And that Electoral Management Committee puts up a system of how to have results. It is not their results. They go to the people and they get feedback from the people. Their duty is to do it with utmost honesty, because when we send you to the field, we want to know who exactly is being backed by the people, and then we come back and synchronize those results. And it has worked. It worked with the election in Kawempe. It worked in the election that returned over 57 members of parliament in the other election. It worked with the president. That is why even by their own accord up today, the leaders of the National Resistance movement say and claim, and the National Resistance Army, that we cheated them by over 2.7 million votes, unsubstantiated. So it has worked. And we would have loved so much to go out there and do it the way I have explained, because it is even easier. But then the challenge, as I have stated, is that we do not have the latitude to carry out freely our activities, even those that have been sanctioned. Just yesterday, I was supposed to be in Buyukwe, and by the time I was arriving to the venue, the RPC had taken over. The place had been surrounded, and yet just at the neighborhood, the NRA was carrying out its activities. So we don't have the latitude to do it the way you would have wanted us to do it, or the way it ought to have been done.
Enoch Barata, you do not speak for the National Resistance Movement, but you're the Director Legal, so you might speak on issues that do go on within the National Resistance Movement. Here we have a leader of one of the foremost opposition parties speaking about these two realities that political actors find themselves in. And as a party, they are being forced to literally do what I described as strangulation of democracy within the party itself, but also establishing these covert guys who go to ask these questions. I don't know even how to restructure this particular question, but the National Resistance Movement, the party in power, has effectively, if the words of Mr. Mufumbiro are anything to go by, dismantled the political space for all actors to the extent that they are the favored ones. Does that conversation ever surface within your deliberations at the National Resistance Movement?
This is a...
I did a disclaimer and said those are his words.
This is a traditional excuse of why the brand of democracy practiced by all the other parties in Uganda, except the National Resistance Movement, are not really democratic, because ours is based on universal adulthood suffrage. One man, one vote. Everybody votes, everybody selects, elects their leader. So it's an election rather than a selection. So it's a traditional view, and I don't want to get into their operations. That is their way of operating. But it is wrong also to suggest that they are doing that because there is perhaps some sort of limitation of the political space. You know, the NUP was not created in 2021. NUP existed before. It was re-energized with new membership and so on and so forth. So this is inherently ingrained in their constitution. It has nothing to do with the environment. And the environment is quite welcoming. Otherwise, they wouldn't be having, in fact, the 50-something MPs, 57 MPs in Parliament. Those 57 MPs in Parliament were elected by the people, the same people that you are suggesting have been told not to elect or are somehow constrained. But that is their internal mechanism. What I can tell you about our internal mechanism at the NRM is that we value the people, we value each person's vote, we value each person's view. Even those we disagree with, we highly value those ones as well. Now, speaking of, and I must also state here, while I am not the spokesperson for the National Resistance Movement, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that the the incidents of thuggery that happened on Saturday were not engineered by the National Resistance Movement. We condemn them in the strongest terms possible, and we are very interested in their investigation and conclusion. We are aware and we have been informed that at least 21 suspects have been arrested so far. We are not unlike our friends here going to say that these people have been abducted. They have been arrested, they will be investigated, and we hope that they will be brought to book, those who carried out those actions. So for us, we are not going to hide about this. If that happened, we saw what happened, it is not acceptable. We condemn it, and we are happy to follow up these investigations and find out. This, by the way, I think is the first time that you are seeing people in yellow shirts, because this is characteristically happens when there are
Wow, look at that.
NUP people around. And for them, they will have been now shouting how 21 people have been kidnapped and so on and so forth. But this is not kidnapped. They have been arrested. They will be investigated. And we shall ensure that we follow this up as well. So I want to state that the people out there are not, in the national resistance movement, we do not think that our people are stupid. We do not think that the population of Uganda is stupid. We think they are very intelligent people, and we want them to participate as much as possible in their leadership, in their destiny, in determining their destiny. And so that is why we have these processes being followed.
Interesting submission there. Yeah. I like, not like is a wrong word to use, but I get interested very keenly when you say, for you, you are not like the others who would right now be claiming that the arrests are abductions. The circumstances of this particular incident are different from the circumstances under which NUP supporters were abducted or arrested, if you want to say or describe it the way you are describing it. But are you trying to suggest that when NUP supporters are cited in incidents like those, NUP does not reserve the right to explain itself the way the NRM does? Because very usually what we see is condemnation and express indictment.
We are telling you, if these were our supporters, whether or not they are our supporters, they will be dealt with. NUP, yes, has a right to defend itself, has a right to defend its members. And I'm surprised that you are saying the circumstances are different. In 2020 and 2021, we saw what happened here in town. I don't know how different you are. You are just saying that they have killed less people, or they have undressed less people, or they have not burnt tires in the street and obstructed people from reaching their homes. I don't know if that's the difference you are talking about. But yes, NUP has the right, obviously, to defend its members and to speak up about what it perceives as an injustice. But I'm only saying that we must also be ready to accept when something wrong has been done and to call for justice when to address that wrongdoing. Okay. As I am saying right now, we are condemning this. We are happy that the security has acted quickly and arrested some suspects. We hope that they will be brought to book quickly.
All right. Gentlemen, let me transition very swiftly to the question of leadership and those that are seeking leadership. Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu has expressed his interest to be the flag bearer for the National Unity Platform. President Museveni has also expressed interest to be the flag bearer for the NRM. These two positions don't seem to be contested. Do you have a chronic lack of potential leaders in your parties that have want to put up a fight Let's begin with the National Unity Platform. We should be expecting around 5 contestants coming through, picking nominations and wanting to go for it.
First of all, before I answer that question, allow me rebut a few points from Council here. One, the National Unity Platform does not have the latitude to indiscipline, because, as I have said, we are under critical supervision from the security forces and the like. If somebody juxtaposes this thuggery, this burglary, this misbehavior of people walking in big numbers, first of all, accepted to walk in big numbers, which I would ordinarily not have a problem with, organized by the ghetto structure, because this is the ghetto structure. And the ghetto structure is NRM, and these people are being empowered. Just in the youth election, they did more than what you're seeing here. You saw it. They were even allowed to move with the pangas. Now, this anarchy is being developed within the ghetto structure, and it is led by Afande Dam leader. And for him to come here and say that, you know what happened in 2020? In 2020, 54 Ugandans were murdered by the state, and 48, according to the state, were as a result of stray bullets. That is what we remember about 2020, the murder of Ugandans. If we talk about abduction, we have people who are missing, who have not been seen up to today. None of these people is missing. You even know they have been arrested. And these people, as a lawyer, you know that they are forms of arrest. I am talking about people coming in different attire, using drones, abducting people, reporting them to no police stations, and then later on, if God helps and they appears, they are badly battered, they are clobbered. Just recently, the head of security of the National Unity Platform was abducted, not arrested, taken to the basement of the first son of your presidential candidate, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, badly beaten and thrown to court. Court itself has pronounced, as a lawyer, you know, when court gives a ruling, it must be respected. Court said that Eddie Mutwe was badly beaten. He needs urgent medical attention. In the cells in Luzira, where in Masaka, where he is, it is not sufficient. It ordered for him to be brought to Luzira prison up to today. That has been negated by the state. And you wake up in the morning and say, we are not like them. For you, you even know they were arrested. Their matters are being investigated. Our people, some of our people who are abducted are missing. They were never arrested. The difference between abduction and arrest is that arrest, you know where the people are. 2, you know the arresting officers. They have identified why that is being carried out. There is no footage in the history of Uganda where you will find members of the National Unity Platform behaving the way these thugs were behaving that have been organized against the population by the ghetto structure. Now, those are facts that are bare and true, and we cannot run away from them. You know, we have people like Achille Ochivumbi, who was abducted. This has been, the abductions I'm talking about are glaringly in broad daylight. Just recently, the NRM member of parliament, Honorable Tinka Simiri, up to now, we don't know where he is. That cannot be an arrest. If somebody is picked up, brutally beaten, according to the videos that have been seen from Ruby's Makedere, and taken to an unidentified place. Because when you arrest someone, actually the forms of arrest is that if a police officer is moving from another jurisdiction to a place of where they are going to carry out the arrest, they are supposed to inform the chairman, they are supposed to inform the police around that place that has jurisdiction. When they arrest, they are supposed to first report to that police station of jurisdiction, report that they have got a suspect in that area and that they are transferring him to a particular area, signing in the suspect's book. This never happens to our people. That is why we do not have the latitude to say they have been arrested, because often even the police itself publicly comes out and denies anything to that effect. So there is no way I would come here and say
that
the way you say.
That submission is understood.
So
I hope we had
a
police spokesperson here to
yeah,
answer
you know,
that
he was castigating
question.
that, but at least on the 54.
Now,
And General Museveni apologized to the country on the misbehavior of security in 2020.
All right. We don't have a lot of time, gentlemen.
On the issue of candidates...
Yes, I'm going to ask, within the National Unity Platform, is Mr. Robert Kyagulanyi the only man with a vision?
I think he's not the only man with a vision, but he stands still with the tranquility and lalama, steadfastness of delivering us to a new Uganda, given the current political turmoil that we are in.
He has also gone through the 40% voting?
Not yet, but he's still going through the processes, but he has returned his expression of interest. And then it was open to the public. I think Ugandans still have belief that he is holding the mantle steadfastly and that he can deliver us as a generation to a new Uganda.
Is that an argument you can advance for President Yoweri Museveni too?
We are a political party, the National Resistance Movement, and we have, of course, a lot of people who are intelligent, who have vision, and so on and so forth. But we have, we make our decisions based on what we want to achieve. And as I have explained to you, that decision is participatory. President Museveni has picked his nomination forms. We don't know if there's anybody else who's going to pick nomination forms. We will wait and see. He will return them, we expect, by the end of the week. And then we will subject the candidates to a vote and see who wins. And then we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Enoch Barata and Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, one thing I have noticed as we are ending this conversation, there is something you at least agree on.
Yeah, at least one thing is
that your objectives as political parties somehow, in a way, are high on the agenda. And you can do some... I don't know how to describe that particular word. I don't want to be put on the spot.
As an advocate, he said that we have a constitution.
You have a constitution.
And I've seen many illiterates here on the law claiming that we exist without a constitution. So at least on that one, I give you a plus.
We would have loved to continue this conversation and, of course, exhaust all the aspects with regard to the elections, the primaries, as well as the nominations across the political landscape. But time is not our best ally. We have context to come through from Stephen Mbide, who is on the ground. Do stay with us. We also have later a conversation on something that is very pertinent, the insights into the workings of UWEZO's Alive Education Program as our minors and children across the country continue to get learning. That will be underway with